Yes, the elimination final loss hit me this bad. Hello guys, CT99 here. Welcome to today's video, and today we're going to be going through finals predictions for NRL Week 2. Obviously, 6 teams remain, but only 4 will go through next week. We already know the 2 because they won their prelim finals last week. Did you not pay attention? But obviously, now we've got to whittle through the semi-finals to see who those prelim final teams will face. So, let's get into it. Starting off with Friday night, and we have an interesting encounter. I mean, they're both interesting. They're both finals matches. What am I talking? Anyways, it is the Cronulla Sharks up against the North Queensland Cowboys. Being played at CommBank Stadium because Shark Park really be small. I mean, it's a great ground. I mean, I've been there last year when they played their elimination final against the Roosters. But, I mean, you obviously want to have a bit more people than 13,000 at a semi-final, so it's been played at Parramatta. So, the Cronulla Sharks are coming off a bit of an expected performance against Melbourne. I mean, I'm not saying that the Sharks are completely terrible. Melbourne are just really good. And obviously, this is a match they need to win because I don't think the Sharks have yet still won a finals match in recent memory. I genuinely cannot remember the last time that happened. I'll probably just put it like somewhere here of when that was the last time they won a finals match. But yeah, it's looking a little bit dire. Fans are starting to scapegoat Nico Hines, which I don't really like. Yes, there's been some times where it's fallen to his hands and he might have not have gotten it done, but are we really only blaming him? Like, it's generally kind of the same thing when people are going on about Parramatta this year, when Mike Siva, when for some reason all Parramatta hated him for a few weeks, even though he was like the only reason they were somewhat competitive, alongside like Moses and Gutho. So, it's a bit of a weird one, and they're taking on the North Queensland Cowboys, who last week, in a very close match, wasn't very, but it was a close match. It was tied with like 10 to go. We're able to get over the Knights. Yeah, get the home elimination final win, and now they take on the Sharks. Has been a little bit of trouble in terms of actually being able to get flights organised because, yeah, it's been pretty interesting to try to book them. There has been a thing where the Cowboys have actually asked the NRL to help them charter a flight to get down to Sydney for the clash. And like with that announcement, I have seen some people kind of clown on the Cowboys for this. Some of them even being Knights fans saying, like, oh, we wouldn't have allowed this to happen, even though we needed the NRL's help to get us to North Queensland last week, which, in fairness, was because the NRL decided to switch the schedules up. Essentially, going into this match, the question which is going to be for this and for the Manly Sea Eagles for the match coming up is whether or not they just played their grand finals. Essentially meaning they had to scratch and claw, they win the elimination final, they walk into the semis, and then get just smited, which has happened to a fair amount of teams. Like, I mean, an example, the Knights last year had a grueling elimination final win over Canberra, gets swept away by the Warriors, defeating our B side, but we don't talk about that. So that's going to be the question. Obviously, the Cowboys and Cronulla have played in a final recently, 2022. They played in a qualifying final with the Cowboys winning in, I believe it was Golden Point. So you have that. It's going to be pretty interesting to see how this will go down. I do think this will actually be close, but I hate to say it, but I think the trend's going to continue. I think the Cowboys will beat the Cronulla Sharks. In terms of predictions, I think it's going to be like 1-12. And now we move on to the Saturday game, which is the last of the semi-finals, and we have the Sydney Roosters taking on the Manly Sea Eagles. The Sydney Roosters didn't have a great first half. They did have a pretty good second half in their qualifying final against Penrith. They were down 26-0 in the first half. It wasn't. They did have some calls go against them, but it was morally so, yeah, Penrith just ran roughshod over them. And then we had the Manly Sea Eagles, who came off a grueling match against the Canterbury Bulldogs at Accor Stadium, and Manly were able to get the job done with a try with 8 minutes to go. They held on. They stopped the partying at Belmore. Pretty much now the 2024 Bulldogs are just going to be known as the biggest bed shitters, I think, possibly, because it's like all of that to just collapse, like not even a finals win. I think it's a bit lackluster. Unfortunately, I don't think it was a good season. And honestly, if Kurt Mann didn't get injured, Years would have won. That's all I'm just saying. That's just what I'm saying. Now, this match will be at Allianz Stadium on Saturday, which is going to be exciting. I actually reckon this probably could be a sellout. You could have probably like a decent smattering of Manly supporters there, and obviously you're going to have the Roosters there. Should be a pretty good atmosphere. I think it's hard to say. I feel like this actually is a match that could go either way. I do think the Roosters are the favourites going into this match, but obviously they had those couple of injuries. I think they should still go quite alright. Obviously the winner will go on and play Melbourne next week in Melbourne, which is not an easy task, to say very lightly, especially with how like the Storm are basically getting all their players back, and pretty much they are now at full strength and they're peaking right when they should. But the team that I believe that will face them, it will be the Sydney Roosters. I think Sydney Roosters will win. I think it'll be possibly 13 plus, but I think it's going to be like 14 is how much they're going to win by. And that's it. Those only 2 matches this week. Who do you guys have advancing to the prelim finals? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you all later.